Edward, good afternoon.
Hi, Alon.
How are you, my dear friend and mentor? I call you my mentor.
I'm fine, thank you. And mentor is too much on it.
This underlines immediately why I always say you're so modest. You definitely are a mentor to me and many more, including my dear friends, your two children who work in the family business, and obviously you have a wonderful third child, Guido, who I love as well. Um, I'm very honored that you took the time to sit with me. Although you officially retired from the Royal Asscher Diamond Company as fifth generation owner and leader president, you're still very busy. I think maybe even busier, although you have been quite busy. You are second time president of the World Diamond Council, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I
So
was elected.
congratulations on that re-election. Um, Although you're very famous both in the Netherlands and far outside of the Netherlands, for those that don't know, Mr. Asscher, Edward Asscher is the fifth generation of the Diamond Dynasty, the Asschers in Amsterdam. His two children, Lita and Mike, are the current co-presidents. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah,
Of the family
yeah.
business. For me, this is a special honor because I've known Edward ever since I'm a little child. While I was playing with Mike, my buddy, and I was Papa Edward. Then later on, I entered our family business. Edward taught me a lot about diamonds. I had the honor to buy Royal Asscher diamonds from Edward, jewelry as well. We became friends. Edward shares a passion for watches. Um, you've been in the you've been a senator in the Dutch government as well for many years. So you've always been mentoring me on politics as well, which I'm very ignorant about. So very long intro. And we always start our series, Edward, because we took a little summer break, is with a little wrist check. And if we talk about jewelry, we show our jewelry. So I'm very curious, what are you wearing today, Edward? Both watches and jewelry, if you want to share.
The start with the jewelry is diamond cufflinks. You know, the
Yeah,
only jewelry men are wearing are cufflinks and watches. So I wear diamond cufflinks. I borrowed them from Mike
yeah.
because mine are still in the safe in the office as we just moved out of Amsterdam to Lyon.
Congratulations.
And then there is the Sky Dweller of Rolex
Yeah,
that I got last year
as a parting gift, if I'm
as a
correct.
parting gift when I retired from the company after 50 years.
Amazing. Congratulations. Lovely. So, especially for you, I've put on my Asher cut cufflinks with a
Yeah.
diamond inside as well. So, and I've worn a sibling of your watch because I had a hunch you would wear a blue style Genevian watch. So, thank you for sharing. Um, we only have max 1 hour. We have people watching who are dying to ask you questions. I have a lot of questions for you. I want to learn a lot about the World Diamond Council, which you spend tremendously quantities of time into, which I know you started traveling a bit. The format of the second season of the Ace List Live is almost the same as the first season. We run down 7 the Ace List questions, and then we dive into everything you and I want to discuss. So the first question I have for you, what watch and or jewel is your favorite and why?
That's two questions. The watch is basically the Patek Philippe Nautilus.
Yeah.
Uh, and if you talk about jewelry, you talk for me about diamonds. And my favorite diamonds are pink.
Nice.
Pink diamonds have the romance that you want. A diamond is a symbol of loving relationship, and so is pink. And I love the pink diamonds the most.
And it's
Better
almost
than any other color in fancy color in diamonds.
And it's almost a rhetorical question, but what cut or shape of pink diamond do you think is the best, or do you love the most?
Now you're asking something very rare, because pink Royal Asscher cuts are really very rare. Pink diamonds in general are also very rare, but here and there you can see them. Because the Argyle mine is closed since the end of last year, the production of pink diamonds have gone down considerably. And the same for reddish diamonds and bluish diamonds.
Mhm.
So they are getting more and more expensive and less affordable.
So, for those that don't know, the Argyle mine is in Australia. I shared on my socials this morning that join us, because this is the master of diamonds, Mr. Edward Asscher, and this is going to be a masterclass. So I'm going to inject a question here. Please educate us. Why are fancy colored diamonds so rare, and why especially the pink reddish ones?
Well, it's a matter of supply and demand. It's very simple basics. Demand is huge and supply is extremely limited, because pink diamonds come in very small quantities from the Premier mine in the nowadays named the Cullinan mine in South Africa, the Williamson mine in Tanzania, and a little bit from Brazil. And the rest used to come from Australia. And today that's zero. The mine is closed, not because there were no diamonds anymore, but was the end of the economic existence of the mine, meaning it was not economic to get the rest out of the ground.
I understand. So they didn't exhaust the mine yet, but simply a matter of economics.
Yeah.
And
you see that more often in Africa. When a mine, they take the kimberlite out of the ground, get the diamonds out, and then they put the kimberlite somewhere, and there's a huge hole. And that has been done for 100 years.
Yeah.
And with new technology, 100 years later, they go to the mountain of kimberlite and do it again. And then they still can get a lot of diamonds out.
I understand.
Now, I don't know 100 years from now if they can do that again with the Argyle mine, but never say never.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing. And they get the color because it's basically a different chemical reaction and process.
Diamond consists out of pure carbon. If in the carbon crystal there are other elements like aluminium or boron or nitrogen, then you get influence on the spectrum, and the eye recognizes a different color. And that is why we see a pink diamond, which basically is 100% carbon diamond structure, maybe contaminated, you can say, or added to it some aluminium, get pink, or some boron or nitrogen, you get yellow diamonds. And if you get yellow diamonds, if you get really deep colors, if very vivid yellow, then they become extremely expensive again. They are very rare, but also very beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. I told you guys we're getting schooled here. Thank you, Edward, for that. Second question. Also almost rhetorical. What did you want to be when you grew up?
The answer is different. The answer is I wanted to be an economist.
Which you are.
I remember graduating from school, walking in the Amsterdamse Bos with my father, who asked me, "What do you want to do after you have passed your exams?" I said, "I want to go to university. I want to become an economist." He said, "Yeah, and after that?" And I said, "Well, after that, I want to join the diamond business." And my father said, "Well, then you don't need to go to university. You can come now." So after some discussion, I went 5 years to the University of Groningen, got my degree in economics, and then I joined the business in 1970.
you joined your father because he was the fourth generation leading the family business, right?
Yes. Yeah.
After a very, very dark period. Interesting. Did I also studied economy? I don't call myself an economist, but okay. And I always get the question, do you do something with that study? Do you utilize your study? So I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you that stupid question as
No, it's
well.
not a stupid question. Very good question.
Okay.
The answer to that is yes, because an economist can explain perfectly well why his previous predictions didn't come out. And that's what I use it for.
Yeah, perfect. So I think the funniest jokes in academia are economists making fun of other economists. I totally agree with you. Who is or was your role model or role models?
Yeah, there are maybe two. One is, of course, my father,
Mhm.
who taught me about doing business, and he taught me doing business in a decent way and taking the interest of others into account.
Mhm.
The other one is a shrewd, very clever, intelligent businessman in New York called Maurice Temple,
Mhm.
who had a huge business and then took over Lazar Kaplan and has made a success out of that. But he had, I remember listening to him the first time in the 90s, he had a very long term view on the diamond industry.
Mhm.
And that taught me to look at the diamond industry in a different way.
Mhm.
Not for every day look at your inventory, your goods, and think how will I sell those, but look at the strategy of the industry first, and then of your company.
Mhm.
And that has been a role model. I met him in the 90s, but I knew of him from the start and was reading what he was telling about the industry.
Mhm.
And like my prediction, not always it came out, but it teaches you to have a different look at things.
So I loved your explanation why your father was a role model, because he, if I summarize it correctly, you said to conduct business in a fair way and taking others into consideration. Can you give an example of what he taught you?
Yeah, not going for the last penny, and that in life there are more important things than only money. So you have to cherish the values in your life, like your family, your children, and the integrity and continuity of the company.
Mhm.
So those are different things. The one is the
Mhm.
emotional values,
Mhm.
and the other one is a matter of ethics. It's the moral ethics of your company, and it is the continuity of a family business.
Yeah.
So the beauty of a family business is that you don't look at the month to month or quarter to quarter results, but you look at it to grow it and take care of it for the next generation. I'm lucky because two of my three children are in the business.
Mhm.
The eldest one is in the IT and
Mhm.
works for Royal Dutch Shell. And if your kids don't want to work in your business, then the alternative is to sell it. But
Mhm.
fortunately, we don't have to.
Indeed, fortunate, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Um, Two questions: Did the the Ashes were always politically engaged, and I think the root lies in how your father taught you to think of others, because as I know you already for many decades, because I'm already 42, so it's over 3 decades, is you never did it for your CV. You didn't do it for your ego. I know you did it to give back. Maybe that's why you were a senator and not an MP. I guess that's an assumption I'm making. There is another Asscher that was in the spotlight or is, and that's your cousin, or he's your nephew or cousin?
He is the oldest son of my elder brother.
Yeah, so he's your nephew. So I'm talking about Lodewijk Asscher. And so you Asschers always have been politically engaged. Has your father been? Was he a politician?
No, he was not a politician, but he was active in the Liberal Party, in the VVD. And I hear an echo.
Is it better now?
It's somewhere in the background. The politics, my father was active in the VVD. I think my political activity came to do with the history of the family and the Second World War, which from very young I wanted to be a liberal and defend the freedom of myself and others. So that has one thing has to do with the other, and you carry a part of history on your shoulders. But I'm convinced that I'm born in 1946, so I'm a baby boomer. I'm after the war, but no doubt that had an influence on my being, certainly on my parents, and also on my political thinking. And mind you, Lodewijk, my nephew, is, he is not in politics anymore. He was a successful politician from a different party, from the Socialist Party, not from mine.
But no doubt you were a role model for him as well. All right, so let's switch back to daydreaming, because that's part of Diamonds as well. We can travel a bit more. You started traveling again as the president of the World Diamond Council. But let's daydream. Not the whole world is open still. Things are slowly opening. Some parts of the world are being restricted again. If you could teleport tomorrow, Edward, where would you go?
Japan. I've been 150 times in Japan, I don't know, over 50 years, 2-3 times a year. And I love it. I love the culture, I love the people. It is our biggest market, but it is culturally and it's so different from other countries, also from other countries in Asia, and I love to be in Japan. I love to do business in Japan, but I've traveled around to 100 cities in Japan and always enjoyed it. From big cities till the most interesting are small villages or so. So I would go for Japan.
Japan. Amazing. I know you love Japan. I love Japan. On this show, I think we did now about 40 plus episodes. I think by far Japan is the favorite destination of all our guests. And I've been there, I've traveled there, and I concur that Royal Asscher is really, really famous in Japan. And we in Amsterdam have a lot of Japanese customers who love Royal Asscher. So, and I wonder if it's a chicken egg. Either you develop the market because you love Japan so much, or that the love for Japan grew because they love you so much. But it's probably a symbiosis. So, what book are you currently reading, Edward? 5th question.
I just started. In Dutch, The Verheugenloze by Geraldine Schwartz. I'm not sure if you know it.
I think you grabbed something. Do you want to show us?
I'm not sure if you can read.
The Geheugenloze. Yeah. No, I don't know it.
Well, a well-known book about the second generation in Germany, where the first generation stole a company from Jewish Germans, or German Jews, and another family member worked for the Vichy government in France. And it is the observation about what she is thinking about her family and telling about her family. I just started it.
Interesting. You recommend it?
Not yet. That's the Gereugelo Geraldine Schwartz. I received it last week from a friend, so I'm
Interesting.
still in the beginning.
I'll ask you in a few weeks. 6th question. I ask all my guests, and you already started about color, so I'm very happy you raised the topic of color. What do you think is going to be the color of next year? We're almost at the end of 21, so now we're daydreaming about 22.
Yellow. And actually, to be precise, yellow diamonds. Because the pink diamonds are out of the league of normal people. You must be very rich for pink diamonds these days. But yellow is different because yellow comes in different levels in diamonds, from a little bit of yellow to a little bit more, and not all yellow diamonds have fancy colors. And what you see is that some companies promote yellow diamonds, like Tiffany does in America, and they buy the very deep and the very expensive yellow diamonds, but there are enough of them. And the promotion of yellow diamonds is a good thing because they are in abundance. Like 20 or 30 years ago, people were promoting brown diamonds. They called them chocolate diamonds, but of course they were just brown diamonds. And that
or champagne, we call them champagne.
Yeah, champagne. It would be a bad champagne though, but to help promote production of certain mines, of course. Yeah. But the brown diamonds were a great success in Japan. Japan is highly quality conscious. The Japanese people go for high quality, the best colors in diamonds, and then suddenly someone came to the market with brown diamonds. They were very cheap and very successful. And within a few years, he was really having a market share in brown diamonds.
Interesting.
So it's a matter of marketing and price.
Yeah. Interesting. So, guys, you heard it first. Yellow. Last question. Obviously, you're born and raised in Amsterdam. You left Amsterdam now after many decades. Not too far, though. As we say in Dutch, onder de rook van Amsterdam. But I'm actually very curious. What are your favorite spots or memories of Amsterdam besides the Tolstraat, which is HQ of Royal Asscher Diamond Company? That one we're excluding, Edward. That's too easy.
I've been born and bred in Amsterdam. I lived there 73 years. Apart from my study, I went to Groningen, the University of Groningen. But for 5 years, for the rest of my life, I have lived in Amsterdam. Is my home. Used to be my home. I only left when I retired from the company. I don't have to go to the office anymore every day. And I live here in the green and the quiet of Het Gooi. And I like it here. Amsterdam has, of course, the cultural aspects. For me, I've been going to a Concertgebouw for 60 years. Music is really important. We still go there regularly, if possible, once a week. Let's hope that after tonight's press conference, that is still possible. I'm going tomorrow. And that's number one, is the music. Number two are the musea. And I have very warm feelings for Amsterdam, for the culture and the people. And it is a cosmopolitan city. I remember 20 years ago, suddenly there came a discussion in politics about multicultural society, whether we would like that or not. That was a stupid discussion because we have it already. And today that's the same, that it is a cosmopolitan city that I like, except I don't want to live there anymore.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Those were the 7 questions. Now, I want to talk World Diamond Council, please. Non-profit organization. The name says it all. It's a worldwide organization. Please tell us what you guys do. What are you about?
Yeah. Our organization was established in 2000. We started it because in those days there were conflict diamonds in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And some of you will have seen the film Blood Diamonds. That was especially in Sierra Leone and Angola, where civil wars were.
Mm-hmm.
The United Nations Security Council established sanctions on Angola and Sierra Leone. They couldn't export their diamonds anymore. And together with the United Nations, we established the Kimberley Process.
Mm-hmm.
The Kimberley Process, to make it very simple, means that a legitimate government has to issue a certificate for the rough diamonds that are exported.
Mm-hmm.
So if rebel movements occupy a mine and they want to sell the diamonds and buy weapons with the money, nowadays they cannot get the Kimberley certificate, and that means they have to sell the diamonds, if it happens, for a very cheap price.
Mm-hmm.
And this has had an enormous influence on Africa because of the Kimberley Process and the sanctions, civil wars stopped. Civil wars in Sierra Leone and in Angola, but also, if you remember, Liberia, there was a president called Charles Taylor. And because of the sanctions we put on Liberia, he couldn't export his smuggled diamonds. They were coming from Sierra Leone. Lost power, and now he is in prison in the Netherlands already for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
He was arrested and went to the International Criminal Court. So the influence of the KP, the Kimberley Process, has been tremendous. The World Diamond Council is a partner in the Kimberley Process as an observer, like the NGOs. And there are now 82 governments. And next week is a plenary session of the Congress of the Kimberley Process, and maybe then there are 2 more governments allowed to enter the Kimberley Process certification scheme. That's what it is all about. So we represent the total diamond industry, so the mining, the trading in rough, the polishing, the trading in polished, and the retail. And we have many members from these sectors, from De Beers and Alrosa, the World Federation of Diamond Bourses, the International Diamond Manufacturers, but also Tiffany, and in Asia, Chow Tai Fook with 3,000 stores, and in America, Signet with also 3,000 stores, and so on, but also smaller companies.
You really encompass the whole industry and the whole verticalized industry sectors.
Yeah. I was elected president in 2014 for 2 years and re-elected last year. And this is my second year now. As you said, it takes a lot of my time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not retired. It's not a paying job. It is a non-paying job that will take about 75% of my daily time. And you used to travel a lot because you have to see governments to negotiate and see your members. But in the last 1.5 years, I have been 3 days in Paris. And for the first time, 2 weeks ago, I went to Qatar, which wants to be allowed in the Kimberley Process.
Mm-hmm.
For the rest, no trips at all. But that is hopefully now coming.
So your lovely wife, Katie, is happy that you were stuck at home, or does she want to bash in your head that you're home so much? She's used to you being gone.
No, she is happy that I'm happy. And of course, I consulted her before I said this.
Yeah, but because it's actually a very noble task you're doing, because as you said, it's a voluntary job. You're talking about 75% of your time. You don't work 38 hours a week. Knowing you worked 60 to 80. So it's a tremendous job. Walk me through the activities you do. you said visiting governments, negotiating, visiting the members. You obviously lived in Zoom the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Is it a lot of board meetings?
Well, we try to limit that. Of course, you have to consult your colleagues because it is not my opinion only. You have to take care of the interests of all the sectors.
Yeah.
That's number one. And countries are thinking differently. Huh? So even diamantaires in India, they have a different opinion from diamantaires in New York or in Amsterdam. So you have to consult and try to convince. But let's look at one of the problems that we have. For instance, the Central African Republic is a huge country in the southern part of Africa, very few inhabitants. There are diamonds there. Part of the diamonds are under control of the government and part are not. Now, my responsibility as the WDC, but the whole thing about the KP is we must make sure that conflict diamonds do not enter the mainstream of a rough diamond. So that means that in the end, it is all about consumer confidence. The consumer must be certain that the diamonds they buy from you, from any jeweler in the world, are not conflict diamonds. Now, 99.99% are non-conflict diamonds, but here and there you see in Africa, it's not a perfect world, like in the Central African Republic. Diamonds are smuggled out, and part of it can export, part of it cannot. Mm-hmm. On top of that, there are all kinds of political issues because surrounding countries, but also big powers, they want to be involved there because of the rare minerals, the lithium, and other things that they want to buy or own. So it's a lot of international politics which get intertwined with diamond politics. And there you have to talk to various governments and see what they do and try to influence them. Because the definition of conflict diamond is simple diamonds in the hand of rebels. Mm-hmm. But today, the consumer wants much more. The consumer wants to know if the diamonds are sourced, mined, as well as polished, taking into account human rights, social justice, environmental issues, anti-money laundering, anti-corruption, and community building. So there's a whole range of factors that influence the confidence of the consumer. Mm-hmm. And for this has two, for me personally, this has two aspects. The one aspect is a moral, ethical one. That's the number one, why you do this. Why do I spend all the time doing this? Is out of a personal conviction, an ethical conviction that this is what we should do. And
which we should thank your late father for. May his soul rest in peace.
For the other part of it is a business consideration, because if you lose consumer confidence, then you lose the whole business. So it is emotional and rational decisions that drive you to do it. And for the one is more important than for the other. So we negotiate with governments about these things. And governments, although every government has human rights very high in its policy, but always fulfill the things they say.
Yeah.
And there you come into international politics and you see that you try to get out of it the best. And the best is not only, I'm not worried about big mining companies. They know what to do. But alluvial diggers, that are small diggers that find diamonds on the soil, on the top of the soil, and in the riverbeds, and tribes that go from one country over the border to another to find diamonds or gold and things. There is where we look at the problems on the field of environment, of human rights sometimes. And so we try to educate the diggers by giving them more knowledge about price. That means that the diamonds they sell, they get a better price.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, the industry pays a higher price for it, but with the better price, they can send the kids to school and they can have a better life.
Yes.
And that's part of the things that we do.
That's amazing. It
Education
really
is a big part of it.
Yeah, and it is amazing what you guys doing, and I started in the industry when that Kimberley process actually wasn't in place yet. It, I think, was groundbreaking. I don't know many industries besides maybe the coffee industry and the cacao industry where they try to make things more sustainable and fair mind, fair traded. I think what you guys did was amazing because it was a horrible situation, the conflict diamonds, besides for humanity, also for an industry. And I think you guys curbed that and actually helped, especially the African continent and the industry. Taking that and extrapolating it now 2 decades further, you already mentioned sustainability, basically. I wanted to touch upon several topics and ask your personal opinion, plus those of the World Diamond Council, on sustainability. So ecological sustainability. You diversified already sustainability in many segments. I want to focus on the ecological one because that's an important topic today. Taking your stance on natural diamonds, so sourced out of the nature, out of planet Earth, versus lab-grown diamonds. I think there's also a misconception. They're portrayed as very ecological, but they also have a big footprint, an ecological footprint. So they're pro and cons for everything. I want to speak about the Responsible Jewelry Council, the RJC, if you guys work together. And what's the correlation between you two?
Yeah.
I would like to touch upon the topic of blockchain. Does the World Diamond Council work with blockchain? Those are questions that I have. And basically, what are the future steps? So
that's a lot of questions. I know that's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Let's start with sustainability and what it means.
Yeah.
What I don't like is if you talk about sustainability development goals, it's the 17 United Nations sustainability goals. That's all very nice, but it's very abstract. Mm-hmm. So what we try to do is let's translate it into practical steps. Mm-hmm. The RJC is very strong on sustainability, and recent research, I'm not sure if you saw the webinar last week from the Beers, they showed research done all over the world and asking consumers what is on their mind when they buy luxury products, and sustainability now for the first time is one of the important factors. Mm-hmm. So what I like to do and like to see is how to translate this for the small and medium enterprises. Yeah. Not for the Beers or Alrosa, the Russian mining company, or Rio Tinto, or all those brands that I just mentioned, but for the diamond polisher and the diamond dealer in India, and there are hundreds of thousands of them. It is difficult to influence them in what they do because they try to make a living. And still they have to be aware that when they source their diamonds, when they polish the diamonds, when they trade in diamonds, it should be done in a sustainable way. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a long way to go before it becomes very practical for everybody in the industry. But it is an important issue for the consumer today. Then the other thing is about synthetic diamonds, lab-grown diamonds. That's a very interesting product. They look like natural diamonds once they are polished. The value of them, I looked at the value the last week. It's about 10% of natural diamonds today. And the prices went like this, and there is not yet an end to it. So in the end, price-wise, they won't be compared. Mm-hmm. And the one thing is a very rare natural product, and the other one you make in a factory like computer chips. Mm-hmm. Both have to be polished in the same factory,
Mhm.
So there is a common ground that you must make sure that the energy, the labor circumstances, etc., are well.
Mhm.
A lot of synthetic diamonds come from China and Russia,
Mhm.
where we have very little control over the circumstances in which they are produced. And the energy to make synthetic diamonds under high pressure, high temperature, so far the research proves that they are not greener or more energy efficient than the natural ones.
Mhm.
On top of that, what I find very important, in Africa, 1 million people work in the diamond industry, getting diamonds out of the ground, and indirect 5 million people depend on the well-being of the diamond industry.
Mhm.
So the human rights of those millions of people in Africa are damaged if you go only look at synthetic diamonds, of which we don't know how they are produced, where they are produced, and under which circumstances.
Mhm.
So we look at incomparable things.
Yeah.
And
Would you
I
go
think
as far as, sorry, Edward, would you go as far as saying it's comparing apples with pears? Apples and oranges?
no, the product itself is a nice product,
Mhm.
but so are pears and apples. It is a different product, but it's a nice product.
Mhm.
Now you see also they are selling them in fancy colors,
Yeah.
and fancy colors, the pinks and blues and yellows, are becoming very affordable if they are synthetic,
Yes.
which make the natural still higher and higher.
Yeah. Okay. Clear. Thank you. So that was on the sustainable part. Very interesting and well
RJC,
explained.
yeah.
And then the RGC. So you guys work together?
Yeah, well, our company, Royal Asscher Diamonds, is a member of IJC.
Yeah. Yeah.
To become a member, you have to be certified.
Yeah.
So you do all the research about this, all the factors and your sourcing and your working methods. And then an outside auditor comes in to see if everything you have written down is correct.
Yeah.
You get certified. Basically, RJC companies are the bigger companies.
Yeah.
And if you want to do business with big retailers, you are obliged to be an RJC member.
Yeah.
The World Diamond Council is a member of RJC and RJC with us
Yeah.
because we both promote sustainability and, for me, responsible sourcing of rough diamonds.
Yeah.
Responsible sourcing of rough natural diamonds is the key word, the key objective of the World.
Yeah.
And we share common interest, and so last year we each became member of each other's organizations.
Interesting. So you're technically peers, if I say that correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Do you guys do something with blockchain?
Blockchain is strongly developed by the large mining companies.
Mhm.
You see that there is a tendency. The KP is at the standstill. The Kimberley process doesn't move very much. So you see that large companies take the Kimberley process as a basis and build on that. And what they build on that is the provenance.
Yeah.
I mine a diamond in Namibia, and I can prove the diamond goes through a chain till it is polished and becomes a piece of jewelry. And in a computer blockchain, you can follow the diamond.
Yeah.
And blockchains are used for that, and you see that being developed by the BS, by Alrosa, Rio Tinto, by mining companies, sometimes by insurance companies, to be able to follow the products that are in the blockchain.
Yeah. And what are things you guys, as the World Diamonds Council, the WDC, are working on now? And where do you see the industry moving to the coming 10, 20 years? I don't know, how far do you guys even look ahead or plan ahead or philosophize ahead?
You must philosophize 10, 20 years ahead, but you must plan for next year. And what we are looking at is to expand the definition of conflict diamond to include human rights. And if we fail, because some governments don't want to include that, then we do what I just told you, that we build on top of the Kimberley process and make it private. Not government, but a private organization in which we can prove that these diamonds are non-conflict, that they are polished under the right circumstances, and that their taxes are paid, and that everything is in order before they reach the consumer. And that is actually what I expect to happen. On top of that, I expect that diamonds coming from countries that cooperate on the fields of these principles of human rights, social rights, etc., will fetch a higher price than diamonds from mines in countries that do not fulfill the wishes of the consumer. Because the consumer dictates in the end what the industry is selling and is doing. And when you are producing countries, then you are very far away from the consumer. But we translate what the consumer wants with the research that we do, with the RJC, with the National Diamond Council that promotes natural diamonds. They all do research, and that research proves that in the United States, but also in China and in Europe, the consumer are more conscious of these aspects. Like you mentioned chocolate. You buy a piece of Tony Chocolonely and you see more about the provenance of the chocolate than about the taste or what's in it. And this is what consumer wants. They want to make sure that they actually do good. Like we have an organization called Diamonds Do Good, and it shows what good diamonds do in all these producing countries. And diamonds do not come only from Africa. They come from Canada and from Russia and from 10 different African countries and even South America. So it is from all over the world. But we must make sure that all these diamonds do good to all the countries and the people where they come from.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I think you guys are succeeding and doing a tremendous job. So for my frame of reference, we spoke a lot about the HPHT, synthetic diamonds, lab-grown diamonds. They have different names. Can these organizations become a member? Or is it only for natural diamond producers, sellers, active in the real deal, as we call it in American?
Our members deal in natural diamonds.
So you guys make a segmentation.
Yeah, but some members do both.
Okay.
And you have big companies in India that polish, for instance, synthetics and naturals. The thing is that the differentiation between naturals and synthetics must be there, 100% guaranteed.
Yeah.
And that is what all our members and most people in the diamond industry subscribe to, that there is a very clear differentiation between synthetics and natural diamonds.
On that topic, your personal opinion, taking off the WDC hat, your personal opinion as a veteran in the diamond industry. A lot of people ask me, do you think those synthetic diamonds will kill natural? And my firm answer and belief is no. I think they'll coexist. My personal opinion is the synthetic ones will cater to a lower price bracket and therefore consumer with a smaller wallet or less of a passion for the fact that it's art given to us by Mother Nature. And those that tell me, yeah, but it happened to pearls, I say that's a different analysis, because pearls are an organic harvest, and I see that as a crop, like fruit or veg, and we can't just grow natural diamonds. So I see it as a different thing. How do you perceive that, or what's your vision on that?
Mike and I go regularly to sales exhibitions in the Middle East. It's the only place where you still see natural pearls. They are extremely expensive because there is no harvest anymore, or hardly. And you see now that synthetic diamonds are really very cheap, and natural diamonds are going up in price. And with that, you get custom jewelry with synthetic diamonds. You get cheap stuff. And I rather have a cheap piece of jewelry with synthetic diamonds, smalls, than very low quality PK diamonds, 20 or 50 per carat. Because the one thing looks ugly and the other one looks better. But then don't expect it to keep value, because the resale of that value is very difficult.
Yes.
And in large diamonds, you see the same. Would you give when you're married 25 years, you give your diamond, your wife, a natural diamond or a large synthetic one? Try the last, and she might kill you or divorce.
So that's interesting. So basically what you're saying is, I don't want to use the word investment. I stay away from that word. But if we speak large, would you define where do you put the piquet pouch? Where would you put the where would you draw the line in the sand of big and small? Is that 1 carat?
Yeah, 1 carat
on average. So that's big and small. So and then I don't want to use the word investments, as I said, but could we say above 1 carat becomes heavier price?
Valuable. Yeah, above 1 carat is a valuable thing, and it is. It's a purchase that you give consideration.
Yeah.
And for one,
and below is consumer good. It's fashion, consumer good.
Yeah, and fashion is totally different.
Yeah.
And synthetic diamonds do miracles for fashion jewelry, and for custom jewelry, fine.
Yeah.
But it is different from something that carry the value of your relationship, of being rare, and of coming from Mother Earth. So you can't compare the two, except that they might look similar but not the same.
I totally agree. An example that I use for consumers today, especially the younger ones, and they grasp the idea a bit better, because in Dutch we don't have the segmentation in the word jewelry. Sieraden. We might say sieraden and juwelen, but the youngsters don't even understand that difference anymore. In English, we use fine jewelry, which is high-end, versus jewelry. You used the word custom jewelry just now. I give them an example. In reality, I said Pandora is silver, lower end, seems to be fashion jewelry, high pace, written off, consumers throw it away, don't expect it to retain its value or condition or the state of the quality. And they did an upgrade. Instead of using synthetic crystals, non-precious, Swarovski, maybe not even Swarovski, they upgraded to HPHT, lab-grown diamonds. The biggest issue is people use and misuse that term. And I think that's what you guys do a tremendous job by making a clear framework around that. And that's the example I give them. So, Edward, I don't know if you have a closing comment or any questions for me.
Now, I was wondering if there are any other questions from your audience.
Yeah, there are. There are many. And I've seen that I've been chatting way too long because we hit 55 minutes around. So let's go quickly to the questions of our guests. Let me see. We have here Gerard, who's watching, and he's saying, perfect. It's an emoticon. Somebody sent in a question who couldn't join us live on Instagram, who's saying, how long will you stay president of the World Diamond Council?
The normal term is 2 years.
Yeah.
It might be prolonged if necessary.
And
On...
why isn't it for like most political governments or organizations?
Because the first president stayed on 12 years and they had some trouble getting rid of him, and then they had a limited time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that question. Let's see. We had that one. Do you wear diamonds yourself? Somebody asks.
Yes, in cufflinks.
Only in cufflinks?
Only in cufflinks.
I would have expected you to wear a pinky ring, Edward. Gerard is back and he asks, Mr. Asscher, what kind of diamond do you think is the most undervalued and why? And the same question for a watch or maybe a whole watch brand. Those are a lot of questions. Gerard is very excited.
Let's start with the last one. The same question for watch brand. Which one is undervalued? I don't know. I know what is overvalued. It's Patek Philippe. I have been collecting Patek Philippe. I have been collecting Patek Philippe most of my life, and I don't stopped when prices became ridiculous, totally over the hill. But with Rolex, that's not the case. My Rolexes run as I don't dare to say better, but as good as Patek Philippe, and a fraction of the price. For diamonds, what do you think is the most undervalued diamonds? I don't think diamonds are undervalued nor overvalued. It is what you see is the diamonds are getting more, natural diamonds are getting more expensive because there is more demand than supply at the moment. And after the COVID, there's more demand than supply in anything. But we have seen a very strong recovery in the diamond market when COVID became less difficult than it was last year. So when in America, tens of thousands of jewelers had to close. When they opened, the people had not been able to spend money on jewelry, watches, and trips and holidays. The diamond business started booming. And it's still that way.
I totally agree. Thank you. Thank you, Gerard, and thank you, Edward, for answering. Gerard is real-time listening and typing. He totally agrees with that. Another question we received. Do you still work at the Royal Asscher Diamond Company? Or are you really retired?
I retired last year, the 2nd of March. On that day, I had worked 50 years there. And I'm not a board member and not in any capacity official of Royal Asscher Diamond Company. I transferred everything to 2 of the 3 kids.
Amazing. All right. I think we're hitting the 1 hour. One last one. Let me just check. Somebody asks, do you think diamonds are an investment?
Then that in 1 minute. Let's put it this way. Diamonds are a thing of beauty that have an important emotional value. You give it because you love someone. It is a symbol. It goes a bit far to say a symbol of everlasting love, but it is a symbol of a loving relationship. If you look at diamonds over my career of 50 years, they went like this, with ups and downs, but slowly there is an average that goes up every year. Well, you have to bear in mind that mines are getting depleted, and the last couple of years there are no new mines developed or discovered. And if you discover one today, it will be productive 10 years from now. So there is also there supply and demand. As long as demand is healthy and the supply is diminishing, the prices will slowly go up. But there are, like in every luxury item, strong ups and downs within the development of the average.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all our viewers, for all the questions. We have many more, so I apologize we don't have time anymore. Edward, I want to really, really, really thank you for taking the time to sit down with me, patiently, answer all the questions patiently. I'm happy we're back. We already booked the next guest, which is exactly a week from now at 10 a.m. Central European Time, which is Frank Gelen, the founder of Monochrome Watches, an online magazine, which Edward most probably reads about the new Pateks and Rolexes. Edward, arigatos, Edward-san. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you.
My pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and my love to Katie.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.